but just kind of listening. Yeah. I mean, what I like to think about is how it all gets manifested from this vortex, right? The greatest vortex, the center of all time, and that has a lot to do with almost everything. And so I guess one question would be, how many different orbits do you think we exist within? Right. So if we're orbiting Earth, we're orbiting Sun, we're orbiting galaxy, we're orbiting something.
Doesn't that speak to the micro macro concept? When people are on psychedelics, they say they can zoom into something, then zoom out very easily.
Embed. And which is the same as saying how many superposed axes of spin can remain locked into phase. Physicists talk about 9.
I mean, our consciousness is basically 6 of them, right? If we have delta through fast gamma.
Well, and I mean, more specifically, if you talk about 5 spins inside, 7 spins outside, the 5 spins being dodecahedrous, and the 7 spins being tetracube spin symmetry axes, which is they talk about the 12 spin axes superposed in DNA. That is literally 12 axes of spin superposed just within the structure of DNA alone. And then if you braid the braid on the braid, and then, yes, the DNA is spinning within your body, which is spinning within the Earth, which is spinning in the solar system and around the central sun and the galactic sun and supergalactic.
What's the order of spin that we're currently at is the question, right?
And the longer wave that you can embed in, that bigger that tornado that you can steer, absolutely. And that's what the supergalactic beings are telling us, that we have.
I call that ego steering.
Ego steering, yeah.
Ego steering, right? You use your ego to steer through the different delusions, and you connect to the bigger and bigger flows.
Yeah, and people say the ego is bad, but actually it simply means to identify phi, and to identify phi ratio is how a donut forms. Turning inside out is the origin of thingness, the beginning. And so if you identify correctly, like who you are is your ability to serve, then that you can have a big ego as long as you understand is that who you are is your ability to serve. Then you get to serve a big tornado because all those tornadoes recognize the survival library.
Right. And so that's why I always say that relaxing in certain conditions isn't always that good, because you need to use your ego to steer out of the delusions of others. Because if I relax, even if not in an electric statically charged environment, but even in an environment with a lot of minds that are projecting negativity onto you, that's the same thing.
I mean, lots of confused people getting to a place of stillness really is environmentally linked for sure.
Right. If the person here is even just sitting here with a lot of wants, don't wants, assumptions, and it's going to mess up my manifestation, essentially, my perfect zero.
Exactly.
So what I like to say is you got to use your ego to steer through the delusion, but at the same time, connect the people next to you to those greater flows so that everybody can connect to the greatest flows.
Which is why we're doing education.
And I call that your line of sight, basically. So whatever spiral you exist within is literally how far into time you can see.
That's right.
And so as you remove delusions, basically your line of sight increases to where you can see from the beginning of time to the end of time.
You can see what the sun is yearning for example.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, that's just kind of chiming in, but I like where the conversation's going. It seems like we're touching on some pretty cool.